Today, with 3 simple examples, I'll introduce a very practical technique. Once you learn this technique, editing and repairing images often doesn't require an editing model at all, and in many cases, it can even work better than dedicated editing models.
Image editing doesn't necessarily require an editing model.
Today's demonstrations will still be done inside DrawThings, the most powerful AI tool on the Mac platform. The model used is Ernie Image Turbo. Baidu originally said they would release an editing model by the end of April, but it got delayed. That's okay. Today we'll directly use a text-to-image model for editing, and it works just the same. Case 1. Repairing car text. This is a Porsche Taycan poster image I generated with Ernie Image Turbo. Overall, it looks pretty good, but when we zoom in, we can see that the Porsche lettering on the rear of the car, as well as the smaller Taycan Turbo S text underneath, were not rendered correctly. Here's what the correct rear logo should look like. It feels really frustrating. Should I just keep re-rolling and regenerating the image? Most likely, the result will still have the same issue. And aside from these 2 details, I love everything else about this image. So is there a way to modify only these 2 parts while leaving everything else untouched? This is where image-to-image inpainting becomes extremely useful. We zoom the canvas into the problematic lettering area at the rear of the car. You can set the resolution to 1:1, though even if you don't, it's still okay. Generally speaking, most models perform best at around 1024 by 1024. Also, when enlarging the image, don't leave transparent empty space on the canvas. After that, none of the other parameters need to change. Simply switch from text to image mode. Important: set the strength above 85%, around 90% is ideal because these rear letters are quite far off and almost need to be fully redrawn. Then use the eraser tool to paint over the incorrect logo area and fully cover it. So what state are we in now? We're preparing to do a localized enlarged redraw. In DrawThings, this is an image repair mode. It only repairs the erased area while all other parts remain unchanged. Now comes another key point: the prompt. How should the prompt be written? You only need to normally describe what this part should look like. For example, in this case, you simply write Porsche rear logo text, Porsche, then click Generate. Wow, I could hardly believe my eyes. The lettering blended in seamlessly. That's right, the model already possesses this knowledge. Then we do the same thing for the Turbo S text underneath using the exact same workflow. And we basically achieve a result where the human eye cannot detect flaws. Let me ask you this. If you only wanted to repair these 2 pieces of text on the rear of the car, how would you do it with existing editing models? Most likely, you wouldn't get results as good as this image-to-image repair workflow. All right, now that we've gone through the detailed first example, the next cases will move much faster. Case 2, repairing Sprite can text. This image is a beverage atmosphere render I generated using a Sprite can inside mood board with Flux.2 Klein. Slightly unfortunate, Klein is generally stunning for product shots and the details are excellent overall, but for these tiny Chinese characters, it struggles to maintain consistency. At this point, we zoom the canvas further into the small text area to modify the bottom row of characters. We still use Ernie Image Turbo as the base model in image-to-image mode, with strength around 90%. Use the eraser to paint over the text section, then write the correct text description in the prompt box and click Generate. Wow! You'll see the text repaired perfectly, even matching the curved surface distortion of the aluminum can extremely naturally. I have to say, this level of image-to-image repair capability really requires a strong base model like Ernie Image Turbo to look this good. Now let's move on to case 3, the famous deformation repair everyone loves. The most common example is fixing hands. This is an image of Sam Altman that I previously generated using Klein 9B. As you can see, both hands have issues. There's no way around it. This is one of Klein's weaknesses. Same process as before. Enlarge the image around the hands, set image-to-image strength to around 90%, use the eraser to fully cover both hands, then simply write a normal prompt such as, "The man's hands naturally resting on his knees." Click Generate, and look at that, now you have two perfect hands. Honestly, this works even better than many so-called editing models. For tasks like this, we often need models with highly accurate anatomy understanding, such as Image Turbo or Ernie Image 2512, both of which can work very well for image-to-image repair. Even the awkward microphone in front of him can simply be erased and repaired using image-to-image. The prompt only needs to say, "A man wearing a black suit." I do need to remind everyone about some possible issues with this repair workflow. Sometimes there can be visible seams or slightly unnatural transitions. When that happens, you need to appropriately adjust the processed region so the model better understands the surrounding context, while also tuning mask blur or mask blur outset values to create smoother transitions. This helps achieve a more natural blended repair result. Today's content is an extremely practical little trick. I've actually wanted to make a video about image-to-image repair for a long time. Coincidentally, the arrival of Ernie Image Turbo and the overall strengthening of base models has made image-to-image repair much more powerful. So even though Ernie Image's editing model has not been released as scheduled, you can still use this method to repair many kinds of images. Feel free to subscribe to ToolBuddy, where we deeply explore high-quality products and solutions, always trying to improve efficiency little by little. See you next time.